The idea of democracy, often celebrated as the rule of the people, was heavily criticized by the greatest minds of ancient Greece: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Welcome to Philosophy, Science, and Beyond. These philosophers raised profound concerns about the competence of the masses, the risks of instability, and the absence of true equality in democratic systems. Today, their critiques remain relevant as modern democracies grapple with similar issues. In this video, we'll explore their timeless insights and how they apply to the world today. Modern democracies rely on representation rather than direct public involvement, a stark contrast to the participatory democracy of ancient Athens. This transition raises questions about how much influence the people truly have. Postmodern thinkers like Foucault argue that modern democracies are less about empowering the masses and more about controlling them through surveillance and institutional control. Plato shared a similar view, worrying that the public is too easily manipulated by charismatic leaders. Socrates believed that democracy enables unqualified individuals to wield power, often leading to poor decision-making. This issue persists in modern times, where misinformation and propaganda heavily influence public opinion. The spread of fake news and the lack of critical thinking among voters echo Socrates' warning about the dangers of demagoguery. Political outcomes are often shaped by those who can persuade, rather than those who truly understand. Plato advocated for governance by wise elites, arguing that the masses lack the knowledge and discipline to rule effectively. Modern elite theories by thinkers like Pareto and Mosca align with this view, suggesting that democracies are often controlled by a small group of influential elites. Gramsci added that the masses frequently consent to this control, making elite rule appear legitimate, even when it may not serve the broader public interest. Plato criticized democracy for creating a false sense of equality, treating unequal individuals as if they were the same. Modern democracies still struggle with systemic inequalities based on race, gender, and class. Post-Marxists argue that liberal democracies often exclude marginalized groups while promoting the illusion of pluralism. True equality remains an aspiration rather than a reality. Aristotle's concept of politeia emphasized a strong middle class to balance the interests of the rich and the poor. He believed this balance was crucial for societal stability. In modern democracies, economic inequality threatens this equilibrium, leading to polarization and reduced public trust in governance. Without a thriving middle class, democracy risks becoming a tool for the elite or a platform for populist majoritarianism. Before finishing our video, let us summarize the subject in order to better understand the similarities with the views of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle in today's democracy problems. In modern democracies, it is emphasized that the political knowledge of the people is insufficient, and this situation may negatively affect the functioning of democracy. This is reminiscent of Socrates' criticism that democracy brings incompetent people to power. The other similarity is related to the level of knowledge of voters. It is stated that voters in modern democracies do not have sufficient information when making political decisions and can be easily manipulated by means of media and propaganda. This coincides with Socrates' warnings about the danger of demagoguery, misleading the public. As for the problems of the limits of representative democracy, in modern democracies, the model of representative democracy has been adopted instead of direct democracy. However, the extent to which the elected representatives reflect the will of the people is debatable. This brings to mind Plato's criticism that the people having a say in the government may lead to instability. The claim that the people do not really participate in governance is discussed in relation to elite rule and oligarchic tendencies. This is linked to Plato's and Aristotle's criticisms of oligarchy and democracy. Thinkers such as Pareto and Mosca argue that modern democracies are in fact a form of elite rule. According to them, those who come to power usually come from the upper classes of society and have a certain level of education, wealth, or political connections. This is reminiscent of Plato's idea in his ideal state that government should be limited to the educated and virtuous. Gramsci's hegemony theory argues that in modern democracies, the rulers maintain their power by obtaining the consent of the ruled. This means that the participation of the people in governance is limited and that democracy in fact functions as a kind of consent-generating mechanism. This is similar to Aristotle's criticism that democracy prioritizes the interests of the poor. Postmodern and post-Marxist thought has also given extensive space to criticisms of modern democracies. These criticisms argue that democracy has failed to fully fulfill its promises of freedom and equality. Foucault and the Panopticon argue that modern states restrict the freedom of citizens by keeping them under surveillance. According to Foucault, the promises of freedom and democracies have actually turned into a kind of control mechanism. This is similar to Plato's criticism that democracy leads to instability through excessive freedoms. Leclos and Mouffe's critique of radical democracy argues that liberal democracies do not hear and exclude the voices of different segments of society. According to Leclos and Mouffe, democracy should acquire a more pluralistic, egalitarian, and libertarian structure. This is reminiscent of Aristotle's idea of balancing between the rich and the poor in the politeia regime. The problem of stability and merit in modern democracies is linked to Socrates and Plato's criticism that democracy brings unqualified people to power and leads to instability. In modern democracies, it is a frequently debated issue whether the elected rulers have merit or not. Socrates' criticism that people who are not competent in politics come to power is still valid in this context. Moreover, the rise of populist leaders in modern democracies raises concerns that democracy can lead to instability. Plato's warning that democracy can lead to tyranny gains importance in this context. We hope this journey through time has sparked your curiosity and provided valuable insights. Don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Share your reflections and any questions you may have in the comment section below. Best wishes.